I am ready.
Are we ready? Is it recording? Oh, okay. Wait, good as in
It's
like
recording.
you're about to, or are you?
We're
Oh,
recording.
it's recording. Okay. Yeah. All right. This is for my COMMS 1000 class. I will be reading a persuasive speech to my friends. You guys can start introducing yourselves.
Hi, I'm David.
I am Aki.
Lee.
I'm Ruby.
All right. These are my friends, and they're going to be hearing me out. So, the title of my persuasive speech is Criticisms of Lawrence I. Berkove's Analysis of Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. So I'm going to start with my thesis. Berkove is a professor emeritus of English at the University of Michigan, Dearborn, being known for writing heretical fictions and analyzing other works, predominantly written by men. It is undeniable, however, that one of the few female-written stories he wrote a professional analysis of is nothing short of blatant sexism. Berkove's claims are extremist and go against the story's true meaning, which is about a woman seeking freedom in the late 1800s. Story of an Hour is a short story written by Kate Chopin that tells the story of a woman named Louise Mallard. She receives news that her husband has died in a train accident, and Louise initially grieves over her husband's death, but soon begins to feel a sense of joy and freedom as she realizes she is now free from the constraints of marriage. However, her elation is short-lived as her husband, who was believed to be dead, returns home unharmed. It was turned out that the initial accident that had occurred had not included him at all, causing Louise to die of a heart attack from the shock of seeing him. The story explores themes of freedom's repression and the complexities of human emotions. In his article, Fatal Self-Assertion, in Kate Chopin's Story of an Hour, Berkove interprets the character of Louise Mallard as an immature egotist and victim of her own extreme self-assertion. He argues that there is no evidence in the story of patriarchal oppression or suppression, constant or selfless sacrifice by Louise, or an ongoing struggle for selfhood. Instead, he believes that Louise's desires for independence and freedom are rooted in her own egotism and immaturity, and that she is ultimately a victim of her own self-destructive impulses. Berkove also interprets the character of Bentley Mallard, Louise's husband, as a kind and loving husband who does not deserve the fate that has befallen him. We will now be going in depth about analyzing what Berkove was trying to say about his piece. Berkove ignores the fact that the story was written in the late 19th century, a time when women's rights were limited. The story reflects the experiences and struggles of women during that time, and it is impossible to fully understand the story without considering the context in which it was written. By ignoring this context, Berkove overlooks the larger social and cultural significance of the story and the ways that it speaks to the experiences of women during that time period. In the text, it's mentioned, she had loved him sometimes, often she had not. This suggests that Louise Mallard's relationship with her husband is complex and sometimes troubled. The text also mentions that she had a sense of freedom that came from realizing she would live for herself now, after learning of her husband's supposed death, which further implies that she may not have felt entirely happy or fulfilled in her marriage, not that she expressly hated her husband, like Berkove would lead one to believe. Berkove has a strange and delirious need to constantly disprove that Louise Mallard as a character is normal in how she feels. He attacks her feelings, saying she must be ill or that she's insane. Suggests that she lacked morality and wanted her husband dead. His nonsensical writing further proves that he was insistent on tearing this writing apart with personal intent. No author would attack a piece so viciously without taking into consideration the context, unless it had motive behind it. Berkove's interpretation of the story is controversial and has been criticized again and again by many scholars who argue that it ignores the historical and social context of the story and the struggles faced by women during that time period. Many critics also argue that Berkove's interpretation relies too heavily on assumptions and subjective readings of the text and that it overlooks important nuances and complexities in Chopin's portrayal of Louise Mallard and her experiences. The true meaning of the story of an hour, is open to interpretation. It can vary depending on the reader's perspective. Some readers may interpret the story as a commentary on the oppression of women in the 19th century, and the limited options available to them in terms of self-expression and fulfillment. Others may see it as a study of the complexities of human emotions and the ways in which people can experience conflicting feelings, even in the face of great loss. Some readers may also view the story as a critique of traditional marriage and the societal expectations placed on women to be dutiful wives and mothers. Ultimately, however, it is meant to showcase the struggles of women during the time frame in which it was written. When bringing all of Berkove's criticisms back around, it can be seen that the dominant male perspective remains unchanged in some areas after decades of communication. He disparages the human mindset, the need for freedom that appeals to all walks of life. His piece has a deeper meaning, one of bias and toxic masculinity, the need to dismiss and denigrate alternative ways of thinking, always dominant over others, to feel the need to belittle and beset different ways of thinking under the guise of intelligent criticism. Thank you.
I feel persuaded.
Trying to clap without breaking my controllers.
Ow!
We got it.